Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Maiev Shadowsong guide for patch 18.6.1. So, Maiev has a 1 gold hero ability where you can make a minion in Bob's Tavern dormant. Now, dormant means it's interactable and it'll stay on the tavern. And then after 2 turns, you'll get it for +1 attack. So, this ability allows you to get minions in the tavern at the cost of only 1 gold, usually it costs 3, and you can utilize this ability to hold on to pairs and triples that you. So instead of you see a triple on the shop, you have to buy it. Here you can use your ability on it and get the triple later, where you're in a higher tavern tier, so you can get a higher tavern tier triple. And also sometimes the extra attack is relevant. Usually that's not really like the main draw of this ability. It's the ability to get minions for 1 gold and then holding on to the minions on in the shop. As of this patch, Maiev is S tier, so very powerful. Utilizes a curve that allows players to take multiple tavern tier units. Sometimes that's relevant because you can get stronger than your opponents in the beginning if you get a lot of good tavern tier 1 units, and you can create advantages from getting a lot of pairs, getting a lot of triples, and using compositions that utilize early game minions. So it's a very powerful hero that's really, really good at getting first places. So some of the benefits of this hero is you're not relying on a token, right? So a lot of heroes need tokens to have a good early game. With Maiev, you don't need to, since you have a curve that doesn't level up on 2. You can buy multiple minions and scale from there. You're also more flexible, once again, because since you're not leveling on 2, you can buy pairs or units that scale earlier in the game and then use those to make your compositions. Another thing is rolling into triple in the early game is not a bad thing. Sometimes getting triples too early is pretty bad because there's not a lot of good direction on Tavern tier 3 or 4 sometimes. So you can just hero power it, make it dormant, and then level for a couple turns and get a much better directional unit. And you can also consistently power spike dramatically. So all you need is to hit a triple in the early game. You hero power it, then you can usually get a Tavern tier 5 or Tavern tier 6 unit. So as long as you get one triple, you can power spike and get a really good board consistently. So it's very nice. Some of the negatives in this hero is you're very reliant on getting triples. If you don't get triples, if you don't get a directional unit, you're kind of screwed with this hero. So you do need to get a lot of pairs in the early game and go for those triples. And you tend to hyper level with this hero. So during those turns when you're going from 4 to 5 or sometimes 3 to 4, you can take a lot of damage if the other players have power spike during that turn. Maiev does not do well with unusual compositions just because she's really good at getting a good direction early and then going from there, right? If you do not get those directional units early, then you're kind of having to scramble to find pieces that work. And she doesn't really perform that well, as a lot of people will have some consistency in their comp, and you just have a bunch of tier 1 units that don't really do much. It's a tough game to play from that position, so she struggles in that. Another thing is if your triples don't give you a good directional unit, that's also really bad because you need those directional units early to be able to get a comp that allows you to win. If you get a powerful unit but it's not direction, right, you'll stay alive. But if you don't find a direction from that point, you're still going to lose eventually. So you do need to hit those powerful directional units for her to make the game work. And she is one of the better heroes that has a tendency to go 8th, right? So a lot of the really good heroes are really good because they do not go 8th, right? If you low roll technically with those heroes, you still have a good chance of being 4th, 5th at worst. There's a lot of consistency in the power level. Her ability tends to be very hit or miss. If you get those good directions early, you're gonna destroy everyone, right? But if you don't get those directions, then you'll fall flat on your face and you'll take a lot of damage. So it's kind of a high risk, high reward. It leans heavily on the high reward, as it's not too hard to get those triples and get good directions. But there are some situations where you get the triple, you don't get anything good, and you still get last because of it. So some of the synergistic archetypes for this hero is good, powerful directional units early. Dragons being the best currently as of this patch, but you can get Little Rag, you can get Nomi, you can get Goldrun, you can get Mama Bear. A lot of things like that really work well with these hyper leveling heroes. Another thing you can do with heroes that stay on Tavern 1 a little bit longer is you can pick up a Wrathweaver and go for scaling demon composition. So if you get 1 or 2 Wrathweavers and you start picking up a couple demons and then you hit a Floating Watcher, it definitely is a good composition to just go full demons and supplement that with a Selfless Hero Baron at the end. So this is definitely an option you could use if your starting roles are like Wrathweaver Demon, or even just a Wrathweaver in your next role is like 2 demons, something like that. So definitely another composition you want to look out for. And since Maiev really likes triples, if you get especially a token triple, that's one of the times where you can try looking for a Tavern 4 unit with your golden minion. So it's something to be aware of in the game if you get the opportunity. And Brand is also just a good unit. If you get early, you can scale very well with a Brand. So another option to look for. So how does the minion perform when these minion types are removed? The 2 main minion type removals that hurt Maiev is dragons and demons. Dragons, as Caligos, is the best direction to scale with early. Losing that, you lose a lot of consistency in that you can't hit that. And demons also, you lose the potential of getting demon scaling in the early game. So it makes your early game a little bit weaker, as you have no hope of getting a board that you can keep until the end game. With elementals and beasts, that also makes your comp slightly weaker, since you can't get Little Rag or Nomi as a direction, and you can't get Macaw, Mama Bear, Golden Beasts as well. So those are the minion types to look out for. So playing this hero, turn 1, you usually just buy either the strongest minion or you buy the token minion. Token minion is usually going to be the strongest because you can sell the token piece and hero power on the first turn. On turn 2, you usually always just buy a unit and use your hero power. So pretty much do that every single time. You don't level on 2 with this hero. Turn 3, you also do kind of the same thing. You will buy a unit and hero power. Here you have 5 gold, so you have an extra gold to roll. You want to try to use that extra gold to find pairs or triples, because getting pairs or triples is one of the main power plays of this hero. If you can get a triple, you guarantee at least a pretty good board state in the future. So that's really what you want to utilize the extra gold for. There are some situations where you'd level, but that usually requires you to have gotten 2 or 3 token units already, because if you level this turn, you're on 6 gold, right? You're gonna have to sell a unit again to hero power. So you're gonna need a lot of extra gold to do that. So it's not a common play. On turn 4, you usually level, buy a minion, use your hero power here. So you just keep these next couple of turns, you're just going to level and use your hero power just to look for triples. You want to target triples so that you can scale into the end game. So turn 5, same thing, right? You don't get to buy after turn 4. You really don't get to buy minions on the shop. You only get to hero power them because you are trying to hyper level to get high tier golden. So you want to hero power triples that you see on the board and just level for the next couple turns. So you do that here. So you can see in the example board, we did hit a triple for our turn 6, right? I think on turn 6 it's the turn where it's first acceptable to start getting golden units on your board. So here we did it. We got, and since I get to choose the minions, I put Nomi being one of the better directional units to get. You could also have hit Mama Bear. That would also been really good. But this is definitely a good time to get triples if you hero power them early. Turn 7, same thing here. If you get a triple this turn, it's a good idea to level to 5 and get the tier 6 unit, right? Normally you either get a triple this turn or last turn. So if you do get it this turn, then you go for the 6. If you don't, then you have a couple options, right? You can either decide to level anyways. This is definitely the risky play, and this is how people take a lot of damage and start losing because they don't have a power. They don't have a consistent power spike for the next turn if you level here, right? If you level to 5 without any triple potential and you roll the next turn and don't find anything good, then you are basically out of the game, right? But if you don't do that, you can also decide to just be on Tavern 4 and just roll for a turn and try to keep your board playable or strong for the next couple of turns. I think this is a good play if you don't have any triples and you just want to stay safe. You don't want to go out in 8th place. You can just stay on 4 for a turn and just roll and try to get your board strong that way. On turn 8, usually here you'll level to tier 5 most of the time, unless your composition doesn't need to. Mainly that would be demons and mechs, right? You don't really need to level if you are looking for those pieces. But at this point, if you don't have a direction, then you kind of need to focus on just surviving. A lot of people will keep forcing, keep trying to level, keep trying to find those pieces. But at this point, it's starting to get too late where even if you do find the pieces, people are already going to have their compositions as well, and they're going to be scaling faster than you, so you're still going to be behind. So you kind of just want to make your board as strong as possible so that you don't take too much damage and you can outlast some of the other people that are unluckier than you. So it's just something to keep in mind during this turn. And turn 8 plus, this is where if you don't have a direction at this point, you got to stop focusing on winning the lobby, and you just have to pick up the pieces that will keep you alive. It's too late at this point to really win unless you hit a really nutty turn. So I would say in most situations you want to just try to focus on surviving after if you don't have any direction at this point. You can also just, if you do have direction, just keep in mind you can use your hero powers on minions that you don't want to buy and play on the board, but you do want to hold on to your hand. And you want to try to finalize your composition, get the key pieces that you need, get the Nadinas, get the gold rins, those kind of things. And another tip is sometimes the game will end in 1 or 2 turns. Maybe there'll be like 3 people alive. You don't, at this point, you don't want to use your hero power. Some people just use your hero power every single turn. In the late game doesn't matter, but if you think the game's gonna end in 1 or 2 turns, you're really just wasting your gold at this point. So there's no need to use your ability. So some hero specific strategies is if pirates are in the lobby, gambler is always a good target because you're spending 1 gold and then gambler sells for 3, so you're always getting gold by using that. So almost every time you see gambler, you can always just hero power it and it'll be a good play. You can also use your ability on minions that you don't need at the moment. So let's say there's a George in the lobby, but you're not gonna fight George in the next couple of turns. You can hero power a ghoul and just hold on to it until you need that ghoul and play it against that minion. So there's a lot of strategies you can use. Just hero power minions you don't need this particular turn, but you know you're gonna need in the future. Another thing is if you have 6 units on the board in the early game and you get a token, I actually recommend just holding onto the token unit and just waiting for a turn that you can utilize that 2 gold. Throwing the extra gold away to add a 2/1 minion usually doesn't affect how the battle plays out, but getting an extra gold for the later stages is really important in those mid game turns. So I would just recommend holding that token unit, even though it feels weird. I think it's a pretty good play. If you don't find triples in the early to mid game, I think it's good to just play defensive and try not to get 8th. Triples is really the key reason why this hero is strong and the key reason why you can win these lobbies. So if you don't get any triples, you just got really unlucky with all the rolls that you had. I just think you try to play defensively, maybe go for a mech comp, maybe go for juggler demon comp or something like that, because it's very common for players of this hero to just hyper level to 5 every single time and try to force a comp every single time, even though they have no triples and no direction, and just they'll take too much damage and end up getting last. So just something to keep in mind. If you don't get triples in the early to mid game, just give up on winning the lobby and try to survive. So final thoughts. I think Maiev is a really powerful hero that I can't stress it enough. You need to get triples to shine. She has one of the best first place win rates, but also has a really big 8th place loss rate. So you have to be able to balance the greed with just playing safe and being able to adapt to the situations when things don't go your way. And now that's my guide for Maiev. Thank you for watching. Good luck. I wish you the best in the Battlegrounds. Hope that things go your way and that you have a good time. So I'll see you whenever I make a new one, whenever that happens. But other than that, take care.